How you doing, everyone? Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be having a look at the differences between the iPhone 15 Pro and the DJI Action 4. So I've been for several runs, daytime and nighttime, played about with different settings and been for a bike ride as well. Collected loads of little clips, stuck them on screen so you can see what the differences are. There's loads more settings as well. There's tons of settings on both of these units. So I've not gone over every single setting, but I've gone over the common ones that you're going to use. A couple of things to think of when you're watching the video. I've got some different text on there. So Action On is the stability for the iPhone 15, and the Rocksteady and Rocksteady Plus is the stability for the Action 4. So let's get straight into it and have a look at the footage.
Okay, time to test this iPhone 15 Pro against the DJI Action 4. So I've got them both in iPhones in 2.8K on action mode, 30 frames a second. The Action 4 is in 2.7K, 30 frames a second on Rocksteady Plus. Okay, let's start a gentle jog and see how it seems. So, just so everyone knows, I'm just holding both of these with my hands. One in one hand, one in the other. So I've come up with a new system of holding it. So I've come up with this now. So basically, this should be more comparable and a bit more stable, hopefully. So this is, same settings, 2.7K and 2.8K. At 30 frames per second. So I came up with this different way of holding the cameras, both mounted together, so it should be much more comparable. Pretty breezy out here. So I've just changed I'm gonna have to shout here because the wind. I've just changed the iPhone 15 to, instead of being at 1 zoom, I put it at half zoom to see what the difference is like when you put it like that.
With the iPhone, it seemed to default to a zoom of 1 when I was going on to the video and I had Action On. So it's just something to keep into mind. When you're recording with the iPhone, check what zoom you're on, because it might just automatically go to 1.
I've just changed the DJI settings to 4K as opposed to 2.7, I think it was. So let's see what the difference is here. Alas, you can't change the iPhone to 4K in action mode. The best it'll go is the 2.8. So that's the iPhone now in 4K mode, but by doing that, it does mean I've had to turn the action mode off. So it'll be interesting to see how steady this is just without the action mode on. So I've changed the iPhone to back to zoom of 1 instead of 0.5. The rain is just starting with the weather-wise. Still pretty warm out, but I can see the car, and this is about me for filming. It just looked like I've parked the car in a ditch though. It's on an awful angle. The modes we're going to run with now are 2.8 and 2.7 K, both 30 frames per second, and both with stabilization on. Okay, let's give this a go. Let's run up the middle of the road. Hope nobody runs me over. It's a quiet road, so we should be okay. So now I've put it on 4K 30 frames a second, but I've turned off Rocksteady and I've turned off the action mode on the iPhone. So no stabilization at all, but I think you're going to get better light with these conditions. So we'll soon find out. Let's swizz it round. Okay, so that's walking. I'll start to run and see how unstable it is. It's going to be unstable because the stabilisation's off. But let's just see what it looks like in the dark and see what difference that makes. So here we go.
So things we've noticed so far, something that jumped out at me straight away was the audio. The audio is definitely better with the Action 4 than the iPhone. On the clip with the Action 4 as well, where it was in 4K and it was at night, there was definitely distortion around the edges, made it look a bit fisheye. You won't get that at all with the iPhone, so the iPhone picked that up much better. When it is in the dark, definitely if you shoot in the dark, if you turn off your stability, you're going to get much better visuals with the video. So that's definitely something to think on.
So okay, next test is on the bike. So this is the system I've kind of rigged up at the moment, so hopefully this kind of works. It's the Action 4 on a GoPro bike mount and the iPhone 15 Pro perched perilously just behind it. I'm hoping that doesn't fall off. Be an expensive thing to drop. Going landscape this time. I've done some stuff portrait. I just hope the angles are okay for this, for the footage. Changed it both on stability, action mode and rock steady plus. I've changed it to 1080 HP on both, 30 frames per second. Let's see how this fares. So something I figured out whilst having this elaborate setup is you can actually start and stop the video using the power up and down, volume up and down buttons on the side of the phone, which is kind of handy because trying to press the button on the screen when it's perched behind all of this is quite tricky. HD, 30 frames per second, action mode off.
So if you can do me a huge favour if you haven't done so already, which is subscribe to the channel, leave a like, leave a comment. Just interaction with the channel really does help it hugely, and it would be great to grow it if possible. So other social media channels you can find me on, under the Determined Runner, so on all of them, the Determined Runner, you can find me on Instagram. There's a Strava run club called the Determined Runner. You can find me on Facebook. That doesn't get a lot of action on that one, but yeah, I've still got one, so check it out. Don't forget to subscribe to each of them, especially the YouTube channel. It does make a big difference. Yeah, I've also got a website as well. Don't forget that one.
Tricky. So now I'm balancing both cameras in my right hand and trying to remember what settings I've just put it on. I put it on 4K, 2.8K, 30 frames per second with stabilisation on the DJI. I've just put it on standard rock steady instead of rock steady plus. So it'll be interesting to see how it is. Trying to dodge the puddles. Oh no, wet one! Ah! Okay, there's a steam train coming. It's a wee bit over there, so you might not see it brilliantly from over here, but I'm not moving because otherwise I'll just miss it. Okay, that's all right. I think we got that.
So with the visuals, the iPhone is definitely a bit more washed out on some of the visuals than with the Action 4. If you look at the clouds on some of the scenes, much more detail in the Action 4 than the iPhone. Stability-wise, with the iPhone, when the iPhone stability, the Action is turned off, it's incredibly stable. So it's definitely more stable with the iPhone than when the DJI is turned off with the Rocksteady. Can't even get my words out here. Rocksteady turned off, not as stable as when the Action On is turned off on the iPhone. We can't forget that the iPhone is a phone. It's a phone, it's a little computer, it lives in your pocket, goes just about everywhere with you. It does all sorts. The Action 4 is a dedicated action cam, so they are different units. But this is very handy to have with you, and it does get some amazing footage. You're more likely to have this with you than this. Subscribe to the channel. I actually think I've gone mad. This has been a long edit.